I enjoy my womanhood. And how much women have the guts to enjoy it?
Now they have been recognized as third gender in the country.
Hi. Hi. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lakshmi. It's wonderful to have you here from India. How many hours was it?
Oh, 24 hours.
24 hours. That's a
You
long
won't
way.
believe we were supposed to drive in together, and I got up at 6:20 after a phone call.
Okay. Well, long before the Supreme Court victory that allows Indians to choose now their own gender, Lakshmi Tripathi, who's with us, was breaking all kinds of barriers. She was born into a high-caste Brahmin family on the outskirts of Mumbai. She decided, when she was 14 years old, to join the transgender Hijra community. They live in enclosed communities, answering to a guru that are considered in India both demigods and outcasts. She was a talented dancer, she still is. She became the star of popular Indian music videos, TV shows, and movies, and a powerful artist and author advocating for the rights of the Hijra community in India and even at the UN. It's my pleasure to welcome her now. So thank you so much, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
So, Lakshmi, tell us, when did you first start to understand that you were different and that you were not the boy that you were born?
Oh my God, Tina, I didn't know even you will ask me the same question. I never felt it different. Excuse me, the world made me feel different. I was just a simple child. I didn't fix in the boxes of male and female. I was feminine right from my very early childhood. And so I didn't fix in those boxes what the society had created by their own morality. So I was abnormal for them. But for me, I was a simple child, and I never felt different. But as I was growing up, people started calling me homo, effeminate, and all the other slangs, and the word made me think I was different. But for me, I was as normal as you or anybody else.
Well, of course, being a feminine boy, as you were then, you actually attracted sexual abuse within the family. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I was sexually abused at a very young age, at a very, very young age, and it went for a period of time. And then one point I came to know that I had to say, no, it's wrong what is happening to me. And then I said no to the person, but that no gave me the power. And today what I am, I believe, is that confidence that first time I had said enough of the shit, and it's no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you then decided at the age of 14, I gather, that you were going to become a Hijra. And a Hijra is, it's a very unusual thing as part of a Brahmin family to choose that route. So tell us about the process of becoming a Hijra.
See, I always say my sexuality is, they say Ganges is the most pure river in our country. We consider it as goddess, and Ganges, I always say my sexuality is like the river Ganges. So when I was growing up, people said I was a gay, but the gay said I was not a gay. Then, I was outcasted even over there. And then afterwards, I thought, then drag queen, this whole concept came in, and there were parties. But I was not that kind of a party, because you do accept that you were abused, everything, but it still leaves a scar to you get in an intimate relation with somebody else. So I was not very comfortable in just bedding somebody or going and partying, having sex. That was not me. And I was very feminine, very, learning Bharatanatyam, Indian classical dancing with a lot of, for me, drag queen, I was a queen, of course. I won the crown 3 years, and next year they made me the judge, and then you're not walking, the competition, that happened. Fine. Then I met Shabina Francis, and at a very young age I had my own dance school when I was in 7th grade, when I decided to join. I started becoming, I was economically strong. I became a model coordinator of Bollywood, and now I'm in Hollywood over here. Hallelujah. In the name of God, many things happen everywhere around the world. So I met Shabina. Now, first Shabina's name was Lawrence, and her sister was my model. And she said, my brother is like you, will you? And I needed an assistant. Do you mind if I send you to him? I said, fine, 2 women together of the same kind, fun, I said, yeah, I was quite excited. There is somebody else also who's like me, And I met him at Victoria Terminus, now Chhatrapati Shivaji, Mumbai station. And for the first time, I believe, Tina, what is discrimination, that when I told her Cafe Montegar is one of the biggest, spots where every tourist in Bombay go. And I told her I was thirsty, and I was really a bitch, but I had turned out to be a bitch, but a B-I-T-C-H, a big one, and I was proud of it. Like, good girls go to heaven and bad girls go everywhere. I'm rather the bad one. I travel all the way. Yeah, so for me, it happened like, oh, Shabina, you just come with me, I'm thirsty, I need a glass of beer. And I caught her hand and I took her, and she was not ready to come into Cafe Montegar. And I said, why? No, the people will say something. I said, shut up, what people will say? We are paying our own bill, come. And we will, but her whole, that movement and that whole episode still remains that she was so uncomfortable. And through her, I learned what is Hijra community. And then for me, I said, oh my God, you are in the Hijra community. You all clap, you all strip, you naked, princes of nakedness right on the streets, Aren't you scared, or how cheap it is? Then she explained me the entire history of the community.
Well, I mean, explain to people here who the Hijras are and how they're regarded in Indian society, right? Because it is a particular sort of social group. Yes. That has been in India for hundreds and thousands of years, right?
Thousands of years. And it is not only in India, it's Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. So we are one community which is the most recognized culture in complete Asia-Pacific. So for us, if we pull our traces down, the oldest book, Manusmriti, to Rigvedas, the ancient books, where we are considered as demigods. And even Islam speaks about the 3rd gender. And even in Christianity, nobody can, wipe out the transgenders, because among the first people who accepted Christ was a transgender person from Ethiopia. People don't want to accept it because religion is a power game. Who has it, wins it. And then you teach according to your fins and fancies how you want to control the commoners. That is what priests and all the powerful people have done. And then in my religion, we were considered very divine in the whole culture. Can you believe in Pakistan now they have a fatwa also? And the first country in our region, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and India, the first one to give rights to the 3rd gender was Pakistan. Nobody can even believe that.
And that is what's so incredible. Here's Pakistan that is so repressive in other ways, and culturally repressive, and yet they recognize a 3rd gender.
And they are known as Sarai Khwajas.
But why is that? Why did they recognize it?
Because the culture is so strong. Mm-hmm. Because culturally rooted community we are. Mm-hmm. Our culture is much more stronger. And even I believe the Native Americans never considered male, female. They never boxed. There were other genders also in that. And we kept the culture with us. The Hijra culture survived. It was only during the British Raj, they very technically got it at a sideline, that they brought the inheritance law where all the property, it was only from the father to the son. They never considered the guru and a disciple's relationship. So our community is on that structure. The guru, because your parents throw you out because of your sexuality, they don't want you, the children are thrown on streets, they are raped, they are tortured. At the end, what was left? Begging or selling your body. So I always say the society, I am a very big sex workers advocate. But at point it is, my community maximum across the world is forced into the sex work because the opportunity. What we talk about equality, we talk about inclusion, it's all bullshit. People only speak to look good on stage, but nobody practices it. Because somewhere or the other, knowing unknowingly, we discriminate. It's knowing unknowingly, and it's sad that we do that, and we repeatedly do that, even when we know that it is wrong. And for us, we were considered transparent. Can you imagine I considering Tina transparent? Who the hell you? I don't even recognize your human existence. That is what our lives are. The biggest grief in the world is the grief that nobody loves you. And that all my sisters, not only in India, but across the world. Then Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal got it into the constitution. And then India, of course, we all.
Well, tell me about that, because you were a very big force in getting the transgender community, the Hijra community, recognized in the Supreme Court as a third gender. How did that happen? That's an amazing victory.
You know what happened? That I was the first, me, Shabina, we were this group of Hijras who decided to have an organization for HIV/AIDS because people were dying like flies in our community. And we had the first organization in complete Southeast Asia of transgender, right from the president to the peon, everybody from the community. No outsider. It's community ownership. And then it became a noble project, the I-Welfare Society. And later on, Shabina left. Now she's a PhD holder, first trans woman in the country to be PhD from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. But she left to South, and the entire organization fell on my shoulders. And I said, I cannot be a social worker, because it's a normal trend that you're not supposed to dress up and you're not supposed to look, it's not right to be. And I said, no.
I have to say, you don't look like a social worker.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad you chose that profession. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to be, I said, no, I'm not going to wear that cotton kurta and leggings and, no, that is not, I can't be without my lipstick. I said, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah? I can't do that. They said, do anything. I said, I want to wear micro minis. They said, in my community, I was like, they said, the tradition says you're not supposed to drive. Then I take a scooty and I go right directly to the head of the community house, and they're saying, oh my, and in a frock. And she said, Allah whole villa kuwat. And I said, what happened? I said, we all strip on the streets if nobody gives you money. Then only I'm wearing a frock. I'm covering my assets at least, I'm not naked. So I was always considered like a terrorist in my own community, Yeah, they were waiting what she will do the next. So, and that was fun. It used to give me a kick, wow, teach them good, They are trying to put me down, I would put them down. So it was always like that. And it had come because the years of abuse which came to me, that gave me a complete, I was not ready to take any shit from anybody. No disrespect. If you don't love me, I don't love you. And then, what happened was, complete it became, and then for the first time, the press, when was talking to me, they see a Hijra speaking English, and they
because
said,
most Hijras only speak Hindi, right?
Yeah, they all speak Hindi, but they were educated, but people were shy. So there was this fight started, there was a press conference, and I got up, I said, hello, I need my constitutional right. Section 377 is just one thing. My sexuality, what I do and with whom I do is in my bedroom. But I need my constitutional rights, I will need my basic rights, I need policies in place. And the press said, oh my God, this Hijra speaks English. And somebody came and said, so what's the problem? I speak better English than you, So they were like, it blew away their mind. They never thought anybody could be of this kind. And from there, and then I got recognition, people. I used to do anything. The press was all behind me. And then UNDP in their office, Alka Narang and Ernest, we all decided. We had this public hearings and we had these conferences, 4 regional conferences, 1 national conference about the whole issues of transgenders. And in 1 national conference, even the Chief Justice, Alkamish Kabir, was there, and I happened to reach late, what I did even today, not in time. Divas are always like that. Yeah. So it happened to me, but it was not by purpose. My flight got late, so I entered the room, and I just sat next to the Chief Justice. I don't know, I said some old crap man would be sitting, you know. I always had this complete hatred towards, I used to say, men are tissue paper, use and throw them. As they have done to me, I do to them. So it was, and...
So did you persuade him in that encounter of your righteous cause?
No. I didn't get to you, Tina. Oh, I love your smile, babes. So what happened? Then we were sitting, and people were talking, and somebody said, we need implants and we need operation. I said, hello. And I was talking to him only. I said, mad. You need your rights. When you have your rights, you have constitutional rights, everything will be right over there. And then somebody said, I said, they're wasting money, 500 people in this room, for what? They could have run a beautiful project for the complete advocacy, and this, all I'm telling to him. By the evening, when the closing ceremony, then I come to know he's the Chief Justice. And I speak to him everything. In 20 rupees, you're forced to sell your body. In 50 rupees, you have to do all sorts of work. It was so sad, because for me, I came from such a family which was completely, out of the world. My parents, my father and mother was amazing. They are still amazing. I don't have my father yet. My father was fantastic, I could talk to him anything and everything on planet Earth. But when they saw me for the first time on television, it was heart-wrenching. And all this I documented in my book, Me Hijra, Me Lakshmi. And then that copy also went to the Supreme Court. And then I told them how even to use a bathroom, how seniors would pinch my butt, how in college, I'm on the UGC expert committee, University Grants Commission. Only in the colleges we have separate restroom. Otherwise, we are not talking about separate restroom.
Well, that's, of course, now a huge issue here in the United States. It's about to come to our Supreme Court, because there's now a case about whether or not transgenders can choose by their own gender orientation the bathroom they want to go to. How does that seem to you?
In my country, I have the right to choose. If I am a third gender, I feel I'm a third gender. If I feel I'm a biological woman, I'm a biological woman. If I feel I'm something else, it's my right. Nobody, no doctor, no police, no politician has the right to interfere in that. So then I can choose my own bathroom.
And again, what is so stunning about the fact that India is so ahead of the United States in this, in the sense that, it is, as you say, completely your right to use any bathroom that you wish. Nonetheless, homosexuality is still outlawed in India, correct?
Yes, because of Section 377. I believe the advocacy of the thing didn't work well, but there is a lot of factors to Section 377, thanks to the Britishers, what they have, inculcated in our society, the morality, and that morality has ruined our cultures. There was nothing what was there in our community. We had spaces for everybody. As an Indian culture in that subcontinent, we had accepted everybody, immaterial, whatever you are, whatever color you are. But there is caste system, fine. But at this present India, we never thought about such things. But now, the Supreme Court has a constitutional bench of 5 judges hearing this whole case, because Section 377, we lashed out at the government. And it's funny, for even the transgenders whole movement, that I have all my rights, and the court kept quiet on Section 377. I said, of course, they dare not say anything to the Hijras, because they know we know how to take our rights. The crying baby gets a lot of milk, We are not there to sit quiet.
No. Well, Hijras and transgenders, it can have a very sad time, as you rightly said. How dangerous is it to be a Hijra? I mean, is it a dangerous life, considering there is so much abuse and the sex working and the begging?
Tina, dangerous when you talk America as one of the top countries in the world, and you hear that every second day another transgender is murdered on the streets. People cut you into pieces and eat you up. These are stories of America.
These are stories what?
Of the country where I am.
Yeah.
Means in 2016, how many people were shot, trans women were killed on the streets. My country, still there is a scared of being us considering as divine. So there also murders do happen. People, we are used as sexual toys. People at sex work are raped and they don't have spaces to go and even speak to anybody. Highest positivity rate. The drugs are free in our country, HIV drugs. But then it's not only about this. The biggest thing what is that acceptance of from your own people is the biggest strength one can get. And your own people throw you out. Your own people consider you not even a human. You are not even a part of the family. But can you imagine the pain of the child which is made to realize that you're no more the family, the member of that family? It's painful. Right from your childhood, you asked me, when did you realize? I never realized. I was a simple child. The world made me realize. Did I invite? My femininity was crushed under the patriarchy. Lakshmi never invited anybody to rape her when I was in second standard. I didn't choose that people taunt me and people ridicule me and take away my entire dignity on the streets when I was going to my dance classes, my school, my college. It's not one Lakshmi. Thank God, touch wood, my parents were beautiful that they loved me and my family loved me. I have a husband who loves me. I have my sons who love me, and I've always taught them, respect every gender. But for a person who's gone through everything, if I sell my body, then only I will eat my food in the evening. If there is a rent of a house for 1,000 rupees, if a transgender is renting, it goes up to 5,000 rupees. Everyday survival. But when you meet any transgender in India or any hijra in India, you'll find them gorgeous, smiling, laughing, enjoying life for every time. The biggest strength in the world is the strength not to surrender, and that we know it. And my sister across the world knows that.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much.
One thing more before you say thank you. I really believe that this platform would create a change for the trans movement in this country, and I really plead, forget any issues. At least for a second think we are human beings, and we are as human as, because we don't have family. If the society will accept us, we will give so much to the society. Only one thing, if you all are ready to walk one step, the community across the globe is ready to walk 100 steps with you as a society. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow, we have had some amazing women here this evening. And Lakshmi, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
I really love you.
Thank you, Tina.
I want to say goodnight to you all now, and
Shall I
thank
get
you
up?
so much. Yes, you can leave. You can, absolutely.
Ah.
You can. Sweep out of here. I want to thank everybody here for coming enormously. We've heard from some incredible women. Every one of them on the stage tonight was remarkable. I want to thank Toyota again for their kind and supportive sponsorship. And I want to thank all of you for remembering to be a woman in the world, because that is really important. We are not just women in the world, we're women in the world, women of the world. And everybody on this stage has had, really, when you think about it, a very similar message, which is it's all about that understanding and that giving and that relationship between people, which really opens up our hearts and minds to what is going on between us and in the world outside. I just heard that Gina Belafonte, Harry Belafonte's daughter, is here. She's organizing one of the big rallies tomorrow. And I'd like to, is there a mic to give her? Is she here? Come up, Gina. Do you want to just tell everybody here about your rally?
Yes, absolutely. Good evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to just thank Sarah Pillsbury for inviting me to come, and I want to thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this platform. And
Thank
Satnam, I mean, what a
Lakshmi.
goddess you are, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Deeply appreciate that.
You can sit for me.
So tomorrow at 200 North Spring Street from noon to 2, the Women's March Los Angeles Foundation will be holding a rally at Grand Park across the street from City Hall. That will be the sort of opening act for the International Women's Strike that will be happening from 3 to 6 at the Downtown Federal Building at 300 North Los Angeles Street. We're in solidarity with our South American and Latin American sisters and our sisters from around the world who are making their voices heard. The International Women's Strike aims to target injustices that long preceded this administration. The platform defines the day as organized by and for women who have been marginalized and silenced by decades of neoliberalism directed towards working women, women of color, Native women, disabled women, immigrant women, Muslim women, lesbians, queer, and trans women. We ask that you wear red in solidarity for us all throughout the day if you want to join us downtown, that you plug into existing struggles like the Fight for 15 or labor negotiations, anywhere that you see where women are working and struggling. We want to boycott, of course, sexism. We want to boycott products and services where we find misogyny and sexism being used as a practice. And if you can, leave care and housework for the day. Come and join us downtown, and there'll be music, and there'll be poetry, and there'll be speakers, and we'll, again, be in solidarity with our women around the world. Thank you so much.
So where can they find out that information? Where do they get that information?
You can go to www.womensmarchla.org.
womensmarchla.org.
Thank you so much.
Sounds like a party. I wish you could be
Thank
there
you.
too, Lakshmi.
I wish.
You wish. All right. Thanks, everybody, and good night. We'll see you next year.